Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Gridiron Uncensored podcast with the usual crew. You got myself, Trevor, and Blake. We're going to continue on with our series about grading the conferences out their 2023 schedules tonight. Talk a little bit towards the end about the college football game that's coming out, that everybody's been waiting for since 2013. We've all gotten facial hair now and grown a little bit older and have kids and stuff. But hey, we're playing it. I don't care. We're doing it. A lot of people are waiting for it. So we're going to talk a little bit on that at the end of the show. Next week, we're going to jump into the ACC. We're going to change up the formats of doing, breaking it down into divisions in the conference. We're just going to do the whole damn conference and start looking forward to next season once we're done with all the conferences. So something to look forward to, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into the SEC West. That's what we're covering tonight. We did the SEC East last week, so you can go on our YouTube page and watch that one if you've missed it. For the listeners on the podcast, make sure you go check out our YouTube. Please subscribe. Please like all that good stuff. Share it with your buddies. We would definitely appreciate it. So let's get in the SEC West, boys. Crazy, weird conference. I know preseason we were like, there's a lot of teams that we kind of thought could do more, some that we thought would do less. And, now you got Alabama as the conference champion. We're going to talk about them towards the end. We're going to start just like we did last time with the worst, though, boys. And Arkansas fits that bill. Poor damn Arkansas, man. They were one that I thought I think we all felt that way, that maybe they could contend for the SEC West because they had a veteran quarterback coming back. Wasn't an awful schedule, to be honest. They're in the third year, their head coach. So Arkansas came in with the over-under of 7 game. They're like, hey, yeah, they should win 7. Well, they didn't do that. Okay, they failed. They came in and
I'd
popped
say
up
they went
104th. Yeah, I'd say they went under on that one. I hope you bettors out there took the under, because if not, you probably lost some money. They went 4-8 overall, 1-7 in the SEC. I mean, just dismal from them. And it started off with 2 wins. They're like, oh, hey, we're not too shabby. They started off with a decent lead over BYU, and then they gave it up. And BYU came back in a really fun game, week 3, and took the win there. And then the LSU game, they ended up losing that one 34-31. But it was just an interesting thing with Arkansas. 104th overall offense, total offense, and the 46th ranked defense, which was funny because the year before it was like flip-flopped. In 2022, they had a porous defense, but a solid offense. So they made changes. They tried to correct it, and it backfired, flip-flopped on them, and they end up blowing it. 1-7 in conference. Losses to Texas A&M, Ole Miss. I mean, everybody on the damn schedule except somehow they beat Florida, and then they beat FIU and towards the end of the year. Just really, for me, it's a disappointing season for Arkansas. I liked what they brought back, so I had to give them an F this year, boys. I don't throw those around too often. Like I have a soft spot for Vandy, but Arkansas, shame on you.
Well, here's my surprise. I'm shocked. Blake, I am shocked that Brendan gave them an F because he is all about them Arkansas jerseys. He loves them. He loves them. I'm surprised.
Well, that's why I'm so upset. Okay. How am I going to use them in NCAA 25?
Yeah, there you go.
Football when they're sucking like this, I don't know.
You'll get all their alternates too in this game, guaranteed.
Maybe there'll be a 1-star program and I'll get a star. I don't know. Either way, I digress. Go ahead, boys. What are your grades?
Well, I gave them an F also. I mean, there was high expectations, awful offensive line play, awful quarterback play. I mean, 5-7 season, and they were expected to finish in the top 3 of the West, possibly. And I mean, they was a top 10 team last year at one point, wasn't they?
Yeah, I think they snuck in there.
Yeah, they had some good wins last. Yeah,
and to go to that to 5-7 and just play like they did. I mean, there's no reason to give them any accolades.
It's just been downgrading from them. They went 9-4, and then they went 7-6, and now this year they go 4. It's just constant downgrading with veteran players. I don't know, Trevor, what'd you give them?
Man, yeah, it's an F- for me. I mean, if I can throw a minus in there, look,
When you didn't think it could get any lower.
Look, with Arkansas, I was with you guys. Like, I think we were all on the Razorback bandwagon. Like, we were really hoping that they would do well, because when I feel like when the bottom of, this is going to sound like shade, but I don't mean it that way. When the bottom part of the west side of the SEC is doing well, the rest of the SEC tends to do well as far as competition, how good the games are to watch, all of that stuff. So I think the overall SEC product is better when the lower tier SEC schools are playing at a high level. And so that's why they're getting an F- for me. One, because like you said, Brendan, the over under was 7 wins. And I mean, they got 4.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's an F-. And on top of that, add insult to injury, KJ Jefferson's gone. So,
yeah.
And add insult to injury, he's gone on to
may not be a bad pastures.
It may not be a bad thing. You're right. They relied too heavily on him in the running game. I feel like they just relied on him. I mean, you rely on your quarterback always, but to rely on him that much in the running game aspect, I mean, we saw it. Brendan, you have to remind me. LSU.
Yeah.
LSU. We said the same thing about LSU, is that when you rely on the quarterback to provide the majority of your rushing yards, it usually doesn't end well.
Yeah.
And in this case, it definitely didn't.
Yeah. And like you said, BYU was a tight one. Ole Miss was close. Bama was freaking close. That's another back last year. They were in it with Bama. And then, of course, the chaos of Milroe did the same thing. He broke a long one last year and beat them. And then this year he was able to beat them again. And then they were in a total mid-off against Mississippi State. They lost 7-3. I mean, that when you talk about horrible offenses going against each other, we're going to talk about Mississippi State here in just a second. They had the 101st ranked offense. Arkansas was 104th. So that, it's just it was a rough season for Arkansas boys. So yeah, F's across the board. They deserve it. Do better, suck less. Let's talk about another program that really took a beating, and that's Mississippi State. Mentioned them. Over under of 6.5. They had 101st ranked offense, the 40th ranked defense, so a little bit better on Arkansas, and that's probably why they beat them. But it really just a rough go for Mississippi State. Obviously, Mike Leach passed away. Absolutely tragic, that we lost a great coach and, guy in him. Arnett took over, and instead of continuing on what Mike Leach had began building there and had Will Rogers, who had played well, up until this year, Arnett went in and changed the offense. He changed the system, and then they wonder why things just started falling apart. They couldn't block on the offensive line. Will Rogers had no time. He's getting hit he was getting hit more than friggin' Spencer Rattler, I think. It was sad to see what Mississippi State turned into this year. And now they've had a lot of people leave. Will Rogers is gone. I guess there's a lot of, stuff going on behind the scenes at Mississippi State that I've seen on social media. So really just awful offense. Defense was strong considering all the, time that they were on the field. So I don't know. It's one of those I feel for them, especially losing Mike Leach. So I gave him a D-. I think it probably could have been an F, but losing the coach like that, and I feel like that trickles, on a little bit longer. I don't know, guys. What do you think?
I gave him a D as well for the exact same reasons you mentioned. I was teetering on an F as well, just because having Will Rogers, you have a little bit higher of an expectation. But when you have somebody change the whole system, no matter how good the quarterback is, it's hard to get that to mesh with everybody on the team. So my expectations are lowered a little from that. So I went with a D.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to give them an F, but I gave them a D-. because I actually like Mississippi State's uniforms. Otherwise,
pulling on me.
Actually, I mean, you guys seen it. I was Mississippi State in the season that we were. I mean, I'm just saying. I rock Mississippi State. I love I like their unis, but no, it was a disappointing year, and the proof is in the pudding when you change a system like that, and you are the worst performing points for in the entire SEC. That's including the West with 262 points for. That's just not going to cut it. I don't care. It doesn't even matter what conference you're in. It not being able to put up points is just it's a killer. And Mike Leach, God rest his soul, had his offense running very well. And it makes me wonder why in God's green earth would you change something with the emotions as high as they are with the loss of them? It just doesn't make logical sense, is in my mind, at least.
I agree. It's strange, seeing that. So I don't know what he was thinking. They've got a new coach down there now this year. They brought him in from Oklahoma. His name is escaping me right now, but he was the offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. He is now the head coach at Mississippi State. Either way, 2023, they went 5-7 and overall 1-7 in conference. Their lone out of conference win, they beat Arizona, which shocker, early season. We didn't think much of it until you go back later and you see what Arizona was. Now, obviously, Fafita came in, after, Delora, and that changed the trajectory of that team. But still, that was probably their best win of the year outside of, that was it. That was their best win. So, sorry, Mississippi State, you get D's across the board. We all kind of agree there. Let's talk about Blake's favorite team, and that's Auburn, the Auburn Tigers, down in the barn, down on the farm. Blake, what are you thinking about Auburn, man? They over under of 7. They went 6-7. I want to hear from you first.
An F. I gave him an F.
Is that just off of sheer principle?
That is off of. I'm just going off what their fans said. Hugh Freeze was supposed to be the savior. He's an offensive genius. He's the only coach that can beat Saban. Blah 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 blah. Auburn, Weagle, whatever. And they didn't do that. They lost every game that mattered. When you lose at home to New Mexico State, or was it New Mexico? It was New Mexico, wasn't it?
Yeah, New Mexico State.
Yeah, the state. Okay. Either way, if you lose at home to them, you get an F. I don't care what else you did throughout the season. You get an F. So,
well, I mean, I agree with you. And again, you look at their schedule. Okay, they beat UMass. Okay, whatever. California, that was a tight, weird game early, and then they beat Samford, and that gets them to 3 wins early, and then they rattle off losses to Texas A&M, Georgia, which was a close game, but they couldn't do it. They have Peyton Thorne at quarterback, for God's sake. Though folks from Michigan are aware of that. He's no good at Michigan State. You got LSU that they lost to. Ole Miss, again, like Blake said, every good team that they played, they lost to. Mississippi State, not a good team, they beat. Vanderbilt, not a good team, they beat. Arkansas, not a good team, they beat them. And then the vaunted SEC, last, towards the end of the season schedule where everybody plays FCS or whatever out of conference game, trying to be like a bye week before the big one. Well, they went out and laid an egg against friggin' New Mexico State, like Blake alluded to, and they got whooped 31-10 by Jerry Kill. I mean, and like, what the hell happened there? And then all of a sudden they go into, they play Alabama at Jordan Hare, and they end up blowing that one late with the 4th and whatever. It's just crazy. And then they lose to Maryland in the bowl game without Maryland's starting quarterback. So yeah, I'm with you. I gave him an F. I know it's Hugh Freeze's first year, maybe cut him a little slack, but no, I'm sorry, you can't. When you lose to New Mexico State at the end of the season, and then you blow your biggest rivalry game on just horrible coverage, sorry, no sympathy there.
I don't disagree with anything you guys just said. And See, this one was hard for me a bit because they still went 6-7. They still got 6 wins. So there's that. I mean, they're what you said the over-under was 7 wins for these guys as well, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, not as bad as Arkansas. But with when we're talking about Auburn, though, in my mind, it's a weird dynamic with the SEC West, because once you get to that Auburn level, no disrespect to Mississippi State and Arkansas, but once you get to Auburn, you're talking about your expectation for the talent, the production, whatever connotation you want to put to it.
Mm-hmm.
You just have a higher expectation of talent, just everything, putting a complete game together, and them laying an egg against New Mexico State, completely just not performing to the expectations of the fan base and the rest of the country. Because, I mean, I know Blake won't say it, but most of the country expects Auburn to be somewhat good, usually. And the fact that they're just not there is very telling. And they do have the talent. That's the worst part about it, is that they recruit well, but they have no developmental skills on the coaching staff. As far as I can tell, at least, it just doesn't seem like they have, like, the players that they get are very talented, but between the ears, they're not coached well enough. I don't know.
I love that phrase though, between the ears. They're missing something, baby.
They're in Auburn.
It's the players' fault. That's my thing, is I don't want to put it on the players. I don't think it's the players' fault. I truly think it's the coaching staff not instilling a good work ethic and finishing games and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And execution. And I think that has a lot to do with what Auburn's dealt with last year. So I'm with Blake. I'm giving them an F as well, just because of expectation versus result is just too far off.
Yeah, and I'll say, I mean, again, it is his first year. We know Hugh Freeze has done good at, Ole Miss back when he was paying for recruits and hookers and stuff. We'll see if he can do that at Auburn. I mean, it's the truth,
It is.
I mean, Laquan Treadwell showed he was from Illinois or Indiana. No, it was Illinois. He shared a picture back in the day of stacks of cash. And he was like, damn, I love this place. And you're like, and he deleted it. It was on Twitter at the time. He deleted it. Yeah. And then, of course, he did get fired for, some nefarious deeds. But either way, he's this new chance, second chance, third chance man, But they did have a tough schedule. I'll say that. They played Texas A&M. They played Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. And then you draw Bama. Anytime you draw Georgia and Bama in the same year, that's real tough from your crossover games. So, I don't know. Auburn, do better. Hugh Freeze, I think he'll turn them around. I do, but Auburn, they have a tendency to get really antsy really quick. So we'll see what happens with them.
It's not going to get any easier for them next year, because they got Georgia and Bama next year on their schedule. I'm just saying. Better get the act together.
At least they made a bowl. Let's hope they make another one this next year. Yeah. A team that we did quickly mention on the schedule that had great talent, loaded roster, another disappointing year. Trevor's favorite, Texas A&M.
I love them. They're my favorite.
We said in the beginning of the year, just prove it. We want to see you prove it. They had everything, and they brought in Bobby Petrino. We thought there's opportunity there. If he did what Jimbo did, what Harbaugh did, and let go of the reins, let the offensive coordinator do his thing, and then you step off and you interject when you need to. Well, towards the end of the season, after Bobby Petrino left and, Jimbo got fired, it came out. He was like, dude, he was telling me things that I didn't even know what he was saying. So it sounds like Jimbo, again, he hired him, but he was in control the entire time. And another lackluster season for a loaded roster, 7-6, 4-4 in the SEC, 48th ranked offense, and a 19th ranked defense. Not a bad team. It's just they were so inconsistent, poor tackling, and they get torched. I think it was like three or four of the big games they had. One receiver on each team torched them. Bama torched them with who was it? Isaiah Bond or Burton?
Jermaine Burton.
It was Burton.
Burton, yeah.
Miami torched them. Tennessee torched them.
And it was just like one receiver would pick them apart, and they would just keep going back to the well. And for a team, again, that's got top 5 talent, they couldn't finish it. And, obviously it ended up with Jimbo being fired and replaced by Mike Elko, who's having a solid recruiting class right now as his first time there at Texas A&M as the head coach. But again, just disappointing from Texas A&M. I gave them a D+. I think they're still a good team. There's room for them to obviously improve. They're let down by coaching staff, player injuries. Losing Wigman early, that hurt too. So I give them some leniency there, but still D+ for me. Then you lost your bowl game to Oklahoma State, whose defense was horrible. I don't know. It's just rough for Texas A&M. They need to get it together.
I went with an F as well with A&M to join Auburn and Arkansas, just because the amount of talent on the roster, and I know it was for 2023, but I'm factoring it in under Jimbo there. He's had loaded rosters every season, and he just he's a massive letdown. And I will continue to say that Texas A&M is where decent coaches go to die. And that's probably what's going to happen with Elko's. It just seems to be a curse in College Station for whatever. And, when you don't win any of the games that matter on your schedule, there's nothing to cheer for it, whether their quarterback was hurt or not. They lost every game that mattered. Miami, LSU, Tennessee, the Okie State. It didn't matter. Yeah. So I have no reason to give them anything other than an F.
It's fair. It's just disappointing from them.
It's 100% fair assessment, and I don't know where I fall in on it is that, yeah, it's an F. I was gonna try and address it a little bit, but honestly, like, the way I view Jimbo Fisher and Bobby Petrino's situation is the same way I view, on a much bigger scale, and he's a better coach in my opinion, is Ryan Day and whoever the offensive coordinator was for Ohio State, because no one really knows who it is, because he doesn't call the plays. He is just literally there to assist Ryan Day, because Ryan Day is the play caller.
Yeah.
So I think, and I know we talked about it throughout the season. I know Blake has mentioned it multiple times. I know Brendan's mentioned it, is that if Fisher could have let go and let Petrino call his offense the way he would call the offense, that I truly think that they would have had a much better season. Yeah. So it's an F for me, regardless of what I think of their jerseys. It is an F, maybe even an F minus, only because what Blake just mentioned is that he has had top 5, top end recruits throughout his entire time there, and he has not been able to develop. I know I said this a couple episodes ago, this before the season ended, where I hold more value to coaching staffs that can develop the elite talent than coaches that can just recruit the elite talent and just try and win off of just sheer talent and not really coach them, which is exactly what Jimbo Fisher did. I'm going to recruit all the best athletes and just cross my fingers and hope they get it, instead of develop them into better football players, better young men. And the great coaches, that's what their focus is on, developing and creating good young men on top of great football players. Nick Saban was notorious for doing that, where almost all of his players that were drafted in the first round, or even drafted in general, have gone on to have good careers and have a good head on their shoulders. Most of them, like, you don't hear much about Alabama players getting into nasty stuff, but Texas A&M players, they are out of control, just like their coach. So F all the way across the board.
I love the hands, baby. I love them.
I'm sorry, I gotta do it. I talk with my hands.
For the podcast listeners, if you can't see it, Trevor, very handsy. He might be Italian. I don't know.
I tried to do the pen trick where I held onto a pen, but then I started to do this with the pen, and I started waving the pen around like it's a.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know what it's like, but we get you, buddy. We understand.
Whatever.
Hey,
brain fart.
I'm picking
Brain
up what
fart.
you're laying down, baby. We're gonna go ahead and get on into the LSU. We've had a lot of horrible grades in the SEC West. I was a little bit shocked, when I first doing the notes and the grading that they graded worse than the SEC East, but I guess it's more expectation on the West side. So let's talk about LSU. Their over under was 9.5. They came in. They had the first rate offense, best offense in college football. Their defense, 105th in the country. Now, it's total defense. Take that for what it's worth. It's not third down, but still, you watch the games, you knew they were bad. Okay, from week one when they lost to Florida State, it was tight in the first half, and then they got trounced after the halftime. It was like out of gas, no passion. They just kind of let it happen. And Florida State, they put the throttle down and they took care of business. Brian Kelly, he's again elite talent there. He's got a great offense. He's got weapons all around. So they did what they needed to do on offense. But when you go out with that caliber offense, you got a Heisman winning quarterback, and you lose 3 games because, well, yeah, you got a tough schedule, but you go out and lose 55-49 to Ole Miss, who was at times during the season I felt kind of iffy. And then you go and lose again to 42-28 to Alabama, a very good defense. But when your defense can't stop anybody, your offense, it doesn't matter. Defense wins championships. So LSU, they need to do something about that. I think they've addressed some of that in the portal for this year, but it's just kind of a disappointing season. I know we said at the beginning of the year when we looked at their schedule, I don't think they're going to make it out of there. They're the favorites, I think early to win the SEC West, but they had a hell of a schedule. Florida State, Bama, Ole Miss, Missouri, which is a good team from the East. So it's just one of those. I don't know, strange. I gave them a B. It's a good season. I mean, they won their bowl game. They won 10 games, but I feel like there's still a lot left to be desired as an LSU fan. They wanted a lot more than that with that offense.
I went with a B+ on them. They had a top ranked offense. The games they did lose in the SEC, Alabama went on to win the SEC. So, I mean, they played well most of the season and well enough to win most of the games they lost, but the defense just hurt them too bad. So offensively, it would have been an A for me. Defensively, a C. So I go in the middle with a B+.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to go with a B- for LSU. I know it's a kind of a tough grade, but when your defense, you're second to last, and the only other defense in the SEC that gave up more points than you did was Vanderbilt, that's not a good barometer for me to give you a good grade. So I think B- is actually generous in my opinion. I think more along the lines of a C+. I don't care if you had a Heisman winning quarterback. The quarterback doesn't always equate to wins. Even though you guys had 10 wins, congratulations. But, I mean, I don't know. It's the same old story with Brian Kelly. He's a 10-win coach. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. He recruits great. And he gets about 10 wins. Every once in a while, he'll catch fire and get 11. But that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair about, Brian Kelly. He gets you there. He just can't cross that hump of, winning huge games. Sometimes he's played for national titles, but it's just one of those, like Trevor said, it's, usually 10 wins, maybe an outlier, like, oh, hey, 12, and then back down, so it just depends with him. But interesting season for LSU. I know they're looking to reload next year. They're going to have some question marks on offense, especially after losing the Heisman winning quarterback. Let's talk Ole Miss, because this was a really good year for them. They were, projected 7.5 wins. They came in with the 13th ranked offense, which that kind of surprised me because there was times that I thought that they were a little lackluster on O. But then, they had the 68th ranked defense, and they still were able to come out and win 11 games. They went 11-2. They lost to Alabama. It was kind of close early, and then they made some mistakes. I think it was in the fourth quarter, maybe end of the third there. Some picks from Jackson Dart. But that Alabama defense was very, very strong. And then they end up getting absolutely smoked by Georgia. And that's where I downgraded them. I think it could have been an A season. Like that's really good. 11 wins, over under was 7.5, but I gave them a B plus simply because they got their asses whooped by Georgia. I mean, it wasn't even close. So that's just one of those great season from them. But anytime you get blown out that bad, I'm like, okay, hey, something's up here. They did win against Penn State. Penn State didn't have a lot of their best defensive players during the bowl game. So take that for what it is. But I give them a B plus. Just kind of, disappointing seeing that beat down. Guys, what do you think?
I went with an A minus with them. The two lone losses being to the two teams that played for the SEC championship. And, I still think they had a great season for what it was. And I mean, getting smoked by Georgia, that sucks. But, Missouri, they lost 2 games as well. And I gave them an A. So I got to do the same for Ole Miss with consistency. And that's it.
Yeah, Ole Miss. I actually I enjoyed watching them play. I like the style of football that they played. They still played smash mouth. Surprisingly, this season, Lane Kiffin, known for airing it out and being this kind of innovative offensive mind, was really kind of this particular season kind of switched it up and was trying to do a little bit more smash mouth football with the run game. But like you said, Blake, I mean, I can't really knock them for losing to Alabama and Georgia because they were the clear, well, not always the clear, but they were definitely ended up being the 2 best teams in the SEC. And I'm going to go with, I'll give them an A minus for sure, because I think that they exceeded expectations, for me at least. They exceeded my expectations only because I think Jackson Dart's a great serviceable quarterback, I think, but I don't think of him on an 11 win team. Honestly, I don't. I don't think that I didn't think he would be as good as he is. I thought highly of him, but I didn't know that I didn't think he would be able to hang like he did this season. And I just thought he played really good, and Lane Kiffin had that offense running really well.
Yeah, they worked really well with the balance. 19th in passing yards a game, tied for 41st in rushing yards a game, at 176 rushing yards a game. So, I mean, they had a really good season. I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but I hate seeing you getting your butt totally just handed to you. It's still 11 wins, though. I gave them a B plus. Either way, great season by Ole Miss. Bowl win, New Year's Six win. They've got a lot to look forward to next year. That's going to be one of those teams to look out for when we do our season previews, because they are absolutely loaded. And what they're doing in the portal is nasty work. Let's talk about the last team, the SEC champion, the Alabama Crimson Tide. They had an over-under of 10.5. They outperformed that. They went and got to the playoffs. They ended up with 12-2 on the season. Early struggles at quarterback. They lost to Texas. They had some struggles with USF because they were trying to figure out, the quarterback situation. They benched Milroe. There was a lot of what ifs, but they rebounded the very next week and beat Ole Miss 24-10. And then they went through the rest of the SEC schedule, had a couple of close calls with Texas A&M and Arkansas, but they went out after a rough first half against Tennessee and turned on the Jets and beat them 34-20, smoked LSU thanks to Jalen Milroe, and then smoked Kentucky, Chattanooga, and then the miracle there at Auburn. And then they went into Georgia, or the SEC championship game, and beat the presumed number 1 team, the greatest team this year. They beat Georgia in the championship game, knocked them out of the playoffs, which is pretty sweet, I would say, for Bama fans. And then, of course, made it to the playoffs. The 56th ranked offense, 18th ranked defense. So again, remember, defense wins championships. You can be in that middle range of offense, because obviously it didn't really matter for LSU having the best offense, did it? No, you have to play defense, and that's what Alabama did really well this year. and it helped that offense out a lot. Again, I gave them an A. You can't say A-. They made it to the playoffs. They were, overtime, play away from going to the national title game after, snapping troubles, quarterback issues. Hell of a season from Alabama. Like I said, I give them an A. Great year. Saban's last. Crazy season.
I went with an A as well. When at the beginning of the season, I said it was either going to be a really good season, but it could just as easily be a really bad season. Replacing both coordinators and replacing, virtually every key player that we had, and being able to do what we did after all the struggles we had weeks 1 through 4, really. And I mean, it was a massive turnaround. Still with a lot of struggles throughout the season, though. I mean, Milroe at times, I mean, I can't say because we'll get banned from YouTube what I want to say, but he was really, 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 really bad a lot of times. And his athleticism would save us a lot with his legs and the speed he's got. So I am looking forward to seeing next season with Bama, with what he's able to learn under the DeBoer system. And I think that'll benefit him a lot if he ends up being the starter. But for this season, I went with the A, just for the turnaround and taking Georgia down one play away from the Natty.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, it's hard not to give them an A. They got to the semifinal. So, I mean, if you're in the semifinal, I'm going to give you an A probably. And in this particular case, I thought that Alabama did a phenomenal job of finding ways to win.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's with Milroe, with the running back by committee that they had going on this season, or that phenomenal defense. I thought they did great. The one, like, going through the season, I would say that Alabama was like what I kind of expected. I didn't expect Milroe to be as inconsistent as he was, because I don't follow Alabama as much as Blake does. But I did expect them to win most of their games. It shocked me with Texas because I was not as high on Texas as most people were. And the one that really got me off the Alabama bandwagon altogether was the Auburn game, because I thought they just, like, that was like completely off kilter, I felt like. But it's a rivalry game, and you just never know how those things play out. So yeah, it's an A for me for Alabama. Phenomenal season. Tough loss to lose the best coach to ever coach college football, but I think they got a good one in Kalen DeBoer, and they got a pretty decent coaching staff from what I've seen that they've put together so far.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to doing the season previews. Once spring ball is done, make sure you guys stay tuned for that down the line, because it's going to be fun digging in and seeing what 2024 has in store. A lot of change ups, man. A lot of changes across the board from coaches to players. So yeah, that's our SEC West ranks. Let us know if you're listening on the podcast. Hit us up on our social medias. Let us know what you think. Tell us why we're wrong or why we're right. I mean, we know we're right, but you can let us know your feelings. It's just another one of the strongest divisions in college football. Probably between them and the Big Ten East, I think those are the top two divisions. Georgia has helped, and only getting stronger. Georgia had helped with the SEC East getting strong again, but now they're scrapping conferences. So 2024 is going to be a wild year. It's going to be a mess. But guys, again, that's it for our grades on that. We're going to do the ACC next week. We'll probably try to do the whole conference. Let's go ahead and talk about the new college football game. Everybody's excited for this. I know we've been waiting for years. After the whole Ed O'Bannon thing, he was like a nobody on the college basketball team. He was upset that, one of the guys that was created looked similar to him because of the skin tone and because of the number on the jersey, though facial recognition was not a thing back in the day. Okay. So, I mean, it was, but not on that game. And he started up this whole lawsuit, ended up frying the entire NCAA sports thing. So we couldn't play these games. We've been playing NCAA 14 for the last 13 years. That's absolutely remarkable. But we've done it because we're dedicated, just like many fans are out there. And 3 years ago, or maybe it was 2, I can't remember exactly. I think it was 3. EA Sports came out on Twitter and dropped a thing that said, a little tweet that said, "Hey, you've been patient. We're coming back." And everybody's like, "Oh my God!" People start losing their minds, freaking out. When is it dropping? When is it dropping? And then nothing, silent, absolute silence from EA Sports. So it's just got people on the edge, like wonder where. Hello, are you there? Like, what are you guys doing? Yeah, we're all like, what, Trevor? I mean, we're all. Hey, we're digging in the dark web and going on websites we probably shouldn't to try to find information. Don't tell my wife. But no, we really are trying to figure this stuff out. And luckily, there's good people out there that leak us information. Finally, after all this time, last year there was a rumor. Oh, it's coming out in 2024. It's happening, boys. Or excuse me, coming out in 2023. It's happening. It's finally doing it. EA Sports released a memo like after 2 or 3 months. They're like, no, it's not. Nobody ever said that.
It's been pushed.
Well, that's what they say. They're like, oh, hey, yeah, it's been pushed. Nobody ever said it was coming out, 2023. So inherently, everybody calls it NCAA 24, the new video game, because it comes out in 23. But it's the 2023-2024 season. So you call it NCAA 24. Well, they've gotten rid of the entire NCAA title. It's now just called EA College Football 25. That is the new name of the game. Trevor's been tracking this like a hound dog.
I've been trying at least.
Hey, we're doing what we can. What do you think about this game coming out? And, what are you excited about?
Well, I'm not excited. I'm going to have to buy a whole new Xbox. That's what I'm not excited about.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm not excited about. I really wish they would have actually put something out during the national championship game. I thought that would have been a great opportunity to drop, even though there was rumors and everything like that. So, like, F you, EA, for letting that leak and not say anything to us. Like, I mean, I feel like most of the viewership on that Natty was like half wanted to watch the game, half was watching the game to see the update for the NCAA football game. So I'm, just throwing that out there.
I think you're maybe right on that.
So a couple quick facts. If those of you that are listening aren't tracking, the new football game is set to come out sometime in mid-July. And the president of EA has already confirmed that it is going to be summer. That they are still almost 100% all go on summertime. 2, it will be on the next gen system, so the Xbox Series X or S or the PlayStation 5. That will be the systems that it'll be run on exclusively. It will not be able to be ran on the PS4 or the Xbox One. What else? It's going to be running off of. Say again.
Oh, go ahead. They confirmed the system, right?
It's been confirmed. It has been confirmed by multiple different sources that I've seen that it will be exclusive to the next gen systems.
Okay.
Or whatever, this gen systems. Because I mean, Xbox One came out in I don't even know what year.
Yeah.
But what else? What else has come out? 120 schools have signed on from here out of, I think it's 150 or 140. I think they're like missing like 20 schools. I don't know which 20 schools haven't signed on. They have not released I don't think they've released the actual list of schools that are going to be a part of the game and whatnot. I do know that there was a report as of last week, or no, sorry, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that ESPN analysts, College Game Day, have been recording audio for the game, and I think they finished recording just a few weeks ago. That's why that report came out, because I don't think anything came out until after they were close to, if not already finished recording.
Yeah.
Guys, I think that's all I can think of off the top of my head. I know there's probably a lot more than that I'm not thinking about right now. But
they did release some audio from some of the schools that sent the recordings in from their atmospheres at the game.
The atmosphere, the crowds, the chants. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, that's right. They did release that.
I think that would be cool.
And I believe that they're trying to make the actual stadiums almost like to the T look exactly like these stadiums, and even like the outside stuff. Because I mean, even in 14, they really did their best to kind of the scenery in Colorado, for example. You could see the mountains in the backdrop and stuff like that. I can only imagine with today's technology what that's going to look like.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. Blake, you got anything on it?
I'm almost more excited for that than I am football season.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, like I said, we've been waiting for a long time. They have confirmed Dynasty. They've confirmed Road to Glory. There's going to be the transfer portal, all that type of stuff. That the playoffs, all that type of stuff is going to be in there. We don't know the layouts exactly, but we know what's going to be in there.
Yeah.
So it's little things like that that just make you excited, and you're just waiting for more tidbits. Trevor,
I just thought about this. Is that they did come out and actually, I don't know if it was a source or if it was actually EA, but they did confirm that they're not 100% on how they're doing it. They're still trying to work it in, but they are going to try and factor an NIL into this.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I feel like it'll have to be tied into like extra recruiting points or something.
It's got to be something along those lines, like promises or something along those lines. Maybe you can like entice players and stuff. It would be all stupid realistic.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff that they're doing, especially like you guys mentioned with the audio. With they're requesting the schools to send them videos and imagery of the stadiums, like Trevor mentioned. But again, we're just waiting, and there's rumors out there that there's going to be a Super Bowl commercial again. It's just like they said during the NCAA championship game.
These guys are going to make me watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they did come out and confirm last week. They said there will be either some large info drop or maybe a trailer or something within the next 8 weeks, and that was 2 weeks ago. So we're looking at, something's going to be coming soon. Obviously, I guess sports games drops and trailers are different than like shooter games. I don't know all the intricacies, but just keep an eye out, guys. And, we'll keep you posted on what we find out. There's some really good follows out there. Everything EA College Football, they do a great job at sharing information and some leaks of, stuff that they hear from people inside. Also, Matt Brown, he's a really good follow, even though he's an Ohio State fan. He's a great follow on there. He runs a program called the Extra Points newsletter. He just got picked up by new station, so awesome for him. But he's been doing the Freedom of Information Act attempts, and he's been getting a lot of information from EA through their emails. So that's pretty cool. That's good investigating right there, and that's how most of us know what's going on with the game, because they won't tell us. But as we find stuff out, we will let you know. Again, thank you for spending some time with us tonight or whenever the hell you're listening. We appreciate it. We love talking football. If you want to hit us up, holler at us on all of our socials. If you're watching this video, please make sure you subscribe. That helps us out tremendously. Share it with your friends. Tell them to subscribe. All that good stuff about social media. We're on all the platforms. Our links are in the bio. That'll take you to any platform you want. If you're listening on podcast, again, please watch our videos on YouTube. That helps us big time. Guys, anything else before we wrap it up? All right. Well, hey, that's it, guys.
ACC, you're up next.
Yeah, ACC, you're on deck. Watch out. You might have some really bad grades too, man. So again, thank you guys. What's that?
ACC, they're on what?
On deck? What did I say? On dock?
I was just making sure you said deck. I was just making sure. All right.
Hey, I've been having a little ranch water drink here, a little tequila, one of my favorites. But either way, gentlemen, y'all have a great night. The rest of you, take care. We'll see you later.